My husband sent me to prison for 2 years. After I got out, I changed my name and fled the country. 7 years later, we met again in front of my brother's grave. Our eyes met. He stopped wiping the headstone, a complex mix of emotions flashing across his face. Shock, elation, guilt. "Sonny, I've been looking for you for so many years. I thought you were gone too. Where have you been all this time? Why didn't you ever contact me?" When I didn't answer, he quickly wiped the corner of his eye. "You've been avoiding me on purpose, haven't you? Are you still holding a grudge about what happened?" I had my reasons. I couldn't understand how, after causing my brother's death, sleeping with his wife, and pushing me to the edge of survival, he still had the nerve to say such things in front of my brother's grave. But love and hate are luxuries I can no longer afford. To me, he was already nothing. Seeing an old acquaintance again stirred nothing in my heart. Ethan Miller turned and walked away. I leaned down and gently placed the snow-white chrysanthemums I was holding in front of my brother's headstone. In the photo, my brother's smile was warm, his eyes clear, forever frozen at the age of 25. If he were still alive, he would have been at the airport to pick me up today. He would have messed up my hair, just like when we were kids. "Hey kiddo, why the long face?" No, if he had been here, he never would have let me be bullied so badly that I had to run away. I crouched down, my fingertips gently tracing my brother's face on the cold stone. "Leo, I have some good news to tell you." Before I could finish, Ethan returned, holding out a heavy bag to me. "I promised you I'd make you a gift by hand for every birthday. I couldn't find you all these years, so they piled up. There were delicate earrings, an embroidered cap, a soft cashmere scarf. I could see he had genuinely put thought into them, but I felt nothing. His hand hung awkwardly in the air, his face a mask of embarrassment and disappointment. "You don't like them? I can have someone get you something else. How about we grab lunch?" "No, imbusi." He started to press the issue, but his phone began to ring. "Honey, when are you coming home? Today is our 7th wedding anniversary. I've already booked the restaurant." My hand paused as I brushed a yellow leaf from the stone. "Leo, this is the woman you once risked your life to protect. You were wrong about her, and I was wrong to trust him." A sudden tickle in my throat made me cough a couple of times. "Honey, where are you? Why do I hear a woman's voice?" Ethan hung up without a word and pulled a mask from his coat pocket, offering it to me. "You're allergic to the cold air. You always get a cough in the autumn. You should remember to wear a mask." I turned my head away from him. "I'm over that now." I said a final goodbye to my brother and started to walk away. Ethan hurried to catch up. I didn't understand. 7 years ago, he warned me to never show my face to him again. Why was he now sticking to me like glue? Near the cemetery gate, there was a rack of rental bikes. I scanned the code and unlocked one. Just as I was about to pedal away, Ethan pulled up beside me in his Mercedes. "Sonny, have you been on your own all these years?" In the autumn sunlight, his eyes held a hint of cautious hope. I nodded, offering no further explanation. The real reason I came back was to tell my brother in person that I was getting married. It was a joy I was selfishly saving just for Leo. "Sonny, don't try to handle everything by yourself out there. If you run into any trouble, remember to call me. My number is the same. I never changed it, just in case you ever tried to reach me." I couldn't help but smirk. To think that the man who had personally severed all ties, who had acted as if he wished me dead, was now putting on this act of undying devotion. "No thanks. I'm not interested in getting involved with a married man." I pushed hard on the pedal, and the bike carried me down the long path carpeted with golden ginkgo leaves. The wheels rustled as they rolled over them. I used to know this path so well. When we were young, my brother and I loved to come here for morning runs and bike rides. He always called me his little shadow, but would always slow down to wait for me. He loved to ruffle my hair just to watch me get annoyed. He used to say that even when we were old and gray, we'd still be helping each other walk down this path, enjoying the sun. But now, I'm 2 years older than he ever got to be. I rode all the way back to the old apartment complex where we lived when my brother was still alive. It's been empty ever since he passed. When I opened the rusty security door, a wave of stale, musty air washed over me. A dust-covered photograph of the 4 of us hung in the living room. My brother and I had relied on each other our whole lives. Then, when I was 16, Ethan came into the picture. He said my brother had saved him from drowning in the river, giving him a second chance at life. After that, He became my brother's best friend. It felt like Ethan and I were born to clash, always arguing over the smallest things until we were red in the face. That changed on our senior trip, when a mudslide hit the resort. Our classmates were all picked up by their parents, but my brother was away on business and couldn't get to me. A torrent of mud and rock buried our hotel in an instant. I was pinned under a collapsed beam, quietly waiting to die. But Ethan ignored the danger and fought his way through the debris, digging with his bare hands from dawn until dusk. "Sonny, don't be scared. I'm here." He carried me on his back all through the night. It wasn't until we reached the hospital that I noticed he'd lost both of his shoes. His feet were a mess of crisscrossing cuts, pale and waterlogged. His fingernails were torn, his hands a bloody mess. "Silly girl, what are you crying for? As long as you're safe. I'd be fine even if I were crippled." In that moment, he was my hero. On New Year's Eve, the three of us were making dumplings when a frantic Candy Jones appeared at our door. She was the daughter of my brother's professor. Her family had gone bankrupt, and she was on the run from creditors. My kind-hearted brother gritted his teeth and took responsibility for all of it. He quit the job he loved to start a business, working so hard he drank until he had stomach ulcers and nearly died several times. In 2 years, my brother lost 30 pounds, paid off all of Candy's family debts, and won her heart. We all raised a glass, vowing to be a family forever and never be separated. As I stood there lost in thought, I heard a key in the lock. The door swung open, and there stood Candy and Ethan. I'd forgotten that we each used to have a key to this apartment. "Ethan told me you were back, and we figured you'd be here. You should have let us know you were coming. We would have picked you up." She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. "You can't stay here. Come home with us. Our housekeeper is on vacation, so her room is free." I looked down. My fiancé's family lived right here in the city. I was only here to see my brother before going to meet my future in-laws for the first time. I held out my hand to them. "The key. My brother bought this apartment, and it's in my name. It has nothing to do with either of them." Ethan's gaze fell on the photograph in my hands, his expression complicated. "Sonny, if Leo were here, I'm sure he'd want to see the three of us getting along." Candy turned her head, unable to look at the picture. Ethan walked right in, took off his suit jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and grabbed the broom from behind the door. "Candy, go open the windows and let's air this place out." For a moment, it felt like years ago. The four of us used to gather here all the time. Leo would cook, Candy would help him, and Ethan would do the cleaning. I was busy telling everyone what to do. The little apartment used to be filled with laughter, but now it was silent. I wiped the table clean and set up the framed photo of my brother. He was smiling so gently in the picture. I never imagined this would be how the four of us were reunited. Candy suddenly rushed over and slammed the photo face down on the table. "Why would you put that out?" Seeing the panic in her eyes, I couldn't help but sneer. So she did have a conscience after all. She couldn't face my brother's clear eyes. "Sonny, Candy is just worried about you. After all, someone died in this apartment. And you two know better than anyone how my brother died, don't you?" The broom fell from Ethan's hand with a clatter. The room was dead silent, save for the sound of the wind outside. In the second year of my brother's marriage, everything changed. Leo's company got busier, and he was often away from home for days at a time. The day he secured his first round of angel investing, he was so happy he took us all out for a celebratory dinner. Halfway through the meal, he got a call from Ethan, who hadn't been able to make it. "Leo, I'm in trouble. Some guys had me cornered at a bar." Without a second thought, my brother dropped his chopsticks and ran out. He never came back the same. While protecting Ethan, my brother was smashed in the back of the head with a bottle. By the time Candy and I got to the hospital, his mental capacity had been reduced to that of a 5-year-old child. He had forgotten everyone and everything, except for me. My world collapsed. While swallowing my grief to care for Leo, I had to be cruel to Candy. When my brother was himself, he loved you more than anything. He wouldn't want you to waste your life on him like this. I'm making the decision for him. You two should get a divorce. Candy clung to my brother's hands, sobbing uncontrollably. "I will never leave Leo. Never." She chose to stay, without a moment's hesitation. I signed over my inheritance rights to my brother's company, giving everything to Candy. Ethan was consumed by guilt, locking himself in his room on a drunken binge. That lasted until Candy kicked his door in and slapped him hard across the face. If you want to do right by Leo, then you'll protect his company and this family for him. From that day on, Ethan was a changed man. He started working in my brother's company and shouldered the responsibility of taking care of all of us. I was lost in a fog of grief and uncertainty about the future. Ethan's support became my only lifeline. We got married, and by my brother's bedside, he swore he would take care of me for the rest of my life. Ethan's phone rang, pulling me from my memories. As if desperate to escape the past, Candy suddenly became very talkative. Don't be too hard on Ethan. He's the CEO of a publicly traded company now. He's a very busy man. She casually brushed her hair back, deliberately showing off the enormous diamond necklace around her neck. He bought this for me at an auction in Paris for my birthday last month. Ethan hung up his phone. What are you two talking about? Candy held his hand, acting coy and affectionate. I was just saying Sunny's neck looked so bare. I told her I'd find a few of my old necklaces to give her. My voice was completely flat. No, thank you. I don't want her hand-me-downs. The color drained from Candy's face. What's that supposed to mean? I lifted my head and stared directly at her. What does it mean? Don't you know perfectly well? If it hadn't been for that accident, my brother would be the one enjoying success today. The fact that he was left with the mind of a child is a wound in my heart that will never heal. But life had to go on, and in the dead of night, I would sometimes feel a sliver of gratitude. I was grateful my brother had left me with two people who were closer than family. The night before I left for college, Ethan promised me over and over that he would take good care of Leo. In my desperation, I clung to his words like a lifeline and believed him. At first, he was perfect. It was as if he was trying to give me all the love my brother no longer could. He flew to see me every 2 weeks, afraid I wasn't taking care of myself. He knew I was scared of thunder, so he would drive hundreds of miles during storms just to wait outside my dorm building. Sonny, we'll get married on the day of the first snow. I'm going to make you the most beautiful bride in the world. The city of Phoenix is warm year-round, but that winter was unusually cold. The forecast called for a once-in-a-lifetime snowfall on Christmas Day. I secretly bought a plane ticket home to surprise them. But when I opened the door, I saw my brother, chained to the wall, as thin as a skeleton. And in front of him, on the floor, were two naked bodies, tangled together. A chill shot through me, and I started to shake, fighting the urge to be sick. I don't know what was worse, their abuse of my brother or their betrayal of me. The two most important people in my life had betrayed me at the same time. My mind went blank, but my brother saw me. The tall man curled into a ball and held out a filthy piece of bread to me. Sonny, tears streamed down my face as I lunged at them like a wild animal. I screamed, grabbing Candy's hair with all my strength. She shrieked, falling to her knees in front of me. Sonny, I know I've wronged you and Leo, but I'm not even 30 yet. I don't want to spend the rest of my life taking care of an invalid. But I had offered her a way out. She was the one who insisted she would never leave him. So, she wanted to have it both ways? Ethan and I are in love. I won't try to take your place as Mrs. Miller. I'll take good care of your brother, I promise. Just please, let me stay with Ethan. Can't the four of us just stay together like this forever? My brother had always protected me from the world. This was the first time I had ever come face to face with such ugliness and evil. I raised my hand to strike her, but Ethan shoved me away. Leo, terrified, started to wail. But on pure instinct, he began slamming his frail body against the chain over and over. He actually managed to break his own ankle to get free. Dragging his shattered leg, he threw his arms around me, shielding me with his body. The wooden stool Ethan threw crashed down hard on my brother's head. Warm blood spilled onto my hands. I fumbled, trying to call 911. Ethan calmly got dressed, then deliberately crushed my phone under his foot. I had seen him be playful, happy, and even guilty. But I had never seen this look in his eyes before, so cold and cruel. If you want this idiot to live, you'll keep your mouth shut. You can still be Mrs. Miller. I'll even get your brother the best doctors. But you will never mention what you saw between me and Candy again. My poor brother didn't understand what was happening, but he clumsily wiped away my tears. Sonny, don't cry. Leo's here. I surrendered. After their initial panic wore off, Ethan and Candy became brazen. Word of their affair spread through our social circle. People called them backstabbers, and it even started to affect the company's plans to go public. The worst part was, Candy got pregnant. Ethan came to me and asked for a divorce. He wanted me to publicly state that my brother and I were the ones who had ruined their relationship. Sonny, if you make a scene, you will never see Leo again. He was true to his word. I searched everywhere, but I couldn't find my brother. I ended up on my knees before him like a beaten dog. In front of a wall of cameras, I bowed my head and publicly apologized to him and Candy. It was Leo Johnson who forced himself on Candy, and I deliberately came between them. I stared at the confession they had written for me, a complete reversal of the truth, and I wanted to run. But Ethan leaned in and played a garbled voice message for my brother. Sonny, so cold. I bit down so hard I thought my teeth would break, and I confessed to everything. From the stage, I could see the audience looking at me with contempt, disgust, and morbid curiosity. I don't remember how I left that event. All I wanted was to see my brother and know he was safe. But the nurse at his care facility said that after seeing the video of me, Leo had a breakdown, insisting he had to find me, and then he vanished. The next time I saw my brother, he was a cold, lifeless body. He was bloated and pale from the water, and clutched tightly in his hand was a little bunny beret I wore as a child. I held his body and wished I could die too. Meanwhile, my phone was blowing up with headlines about the tech world's new golden couple, Ethan Miller and Candy Jones, finally tying the knot. The hatred was all-consuming. I arranged my brother's funeral by myself, then went to find them with a knife in my pocket, intending to die with them. I burst in right as they were ringing the opening bell for their IPO. But I was naive. Security guards tackled me and pinned me to the floor before I even got close. In front of all the cameras, I screamed the truth about what they had done, hoping to expose them. But I was no match for them. She's had a mental breakdown from the grief of losing her brother. We are so sorry for this disturbance, and I promise we will make sure she never has the opportunity to harm anyone again. He had all the power and resources to deal with a helpless orphan like me. I was convicted of assault and sent to prison. When I got out 2 years later, everything was different. Ethan was now the untouchable CEO of a major corporation. I couldn't even get past the front gate of his office complex, much less get my revenge. Ethan opened his mouth to say something, but my phone started ringing. Sonny, I'm here. A warmth filled my chest, and I hurried downstairs. As I led Mark Davis up the stairs, I could hear arguing from inside the apartment. Why? Why would you just give her half the company's shares? Your eyes have been glued to her since she walked in the door. Am I invisible? If you dare see her again, I swear I'll have her thrown back in prison. A sharp slap cut the woman off. The company belonged to her brother in the first place. He was the one who took you in off the street and paid your debts. Without him, you'd have rotted in a gutter somewhere. After everything we did to her, aren't you afraid Leo Johnson's ghost will come for you in the middle of the night? Hearing them mention my brother's name filled me with disgust. I pushed the door open, and they both went quiet. Ethan stared at the man whose hand was tightly clasped in mine, his voice hoarse. Who is he? My fiancé. Ethan shot to his feet, knocking his chair over in the process. You said you were alone. I glanced back at Mark's kind eyes, a note of joy creeping into my voice. I am, but not for much longer. We're getting married soon. I don't approve. Ethan's voice rose. He's a cripple with nothing to his name. How is he possibly good enough for you? If he really loved you, why would he have you come back to this dump? Doesn't he have a place of his own? Leo was my brother. I can't just stand by and watch you ruin your life. After her initial shock, Candy's eyes filled with scorn. She's not getting any younger. She should be glad anyone wants her at all. What's there to be picky about? Ethan shot back mercilessly. Shut up. No one will miss the sound of your voice. The irony was staggering. Who I marry is none of your business. He's the best man in the world to me. At least he's not a backstabbing snake. At my words, the color drained from both their faces. My parents died when I was young, so my brother raised me, and we moved around a lot. No matter how hard things got, he never let me suffer. But after prison, I learned just how cruel the world could be. The university had expelled me. With a prison record, I couldn't even get a job washing dishes. With nowhere else to go, I came back to this little apartment and turned on the gas, ready to end it all. I lay on my brother's bed, unafraid of death. In fact, I looked forward to it. I thought that maybe if I died, I would see Leo again. If I saw him, I would cry and yell at him for bringing those snakes into our lives, for leaving me all alone. But in the end, I would just tell him, Leo, I miss you so much. In my daze, I knocked over the bedside lamp. As I reached down to pick it up, my hand brushed against a metal box under the bed. Inside was an old bank book. It started with deposits of $10, then 100, then thousands. It was filled with monthly deposits my brother had made for me from the time I was 10 until I was 20. A handwritten note said, "For my sister's wedding." I hadn't cried once during my year in prison, but now I was sobbing uncontrollably. My brother's love had never left me. It had always been there. He had worked so hard to raise me. He would be devastated to know I was giving up like this. A cold wind blew in through the broken window. It was so cold. I got up, turned off the gas, and chose to live. I withdrew the money from the account and bought a plane ticket. With the metal box my brother left me, I went overseas alone. I slept under bridges, rummaged through dumpsters for food, and was once beaten bloody for a piece of moldy bread. I never realized how hard it was just to survive. Then one night, I was knocked out and thrown into the back of a truck. I had no idea where we were going, but when the truck stopped and someone opened the doors, everyone made a run for it. I ran with them. Gunshots erupted behind us. Warm blood splattered on my face as people fell all around me. It was the first time I had ever been so close to death. Then a sharp pain blossomed in my chest, and I collapsed onto the sand. I thought I was dead, but I woke up in a medical tent. That was the first time I met Mark. He was holding a rifle, casually looking through my ID. American, I looked at the metal box beside me. A bullet hole punched nearly all the way through it. My eyes burned with tears. Leo, you saved me again. Even in death, he was still protecting his useless little sister. Mark seemed like he'd never seen a woman cry before. He didn't know what to do. He fumbled in his pocket and stuffed the only piece of candy he had into my mouth. Later, he secretly had someone melt down the damaged metal box and forge it into 2 simple rings for me. The candy slowly dissolved on my tongue. Leo, I thought, maybe surviving all this means my luck is finally about to change. With nowhere else to go, I shamelessly stayed on. It was a base for a UN peacekeeping mission. We were on the front lines of a war, treating an endless stream of wounded refugees every day. To earn my keep, I did laundry, cooked, and forced myself to learn first aid. At first, the sound of gunfire would make me tremble. Eventually, I could stand in the middle of a firefight, scalpel in hand, removing bullets and stitching wounds without flinching. We lived on the edge of death every day. A young soldier might complain about the stale bread at breakfast and be in a coffin by dinner. There was no time for grief or complaints. We just focused on surviving. All the love and hate from my past seemed so small and insignificant. Then, I was captured by enemy forces while on a run to get antibiotics. I figured if I was going to die, at least it would be for a good reason. I had saved so many lives. If I saw Leo again, I could hold my head high. I hadn't given up, and I hadn't let him down. But I never imagined that Mark, the unit commander, would come to rescue me all by himself. I finally understood why women in movies always fall for the hero who swoops and saves them. That feeling of being pulled from the depths of despair is overwhelming. The man in front of me was my savior. I was saved, but Mark's leg was badly injured. The proud soldier was left with a permanent limp. The night he was medically discharged, I took one of the rings from the chain around my neck. Mark Davis, will you marry me? This isn't out of pity or gratitude. I just want to be your wife. Will you marry me? Our friends, the soldiers we had served with, all started cheering. Marry her! Marry her! Mark's eyes were red as he took the ring from my hand. Wincing in pain, he slowly lowered himself to one knee. A man is supposed to do the proposing. Sonny Johnson, I may have a bad leg, but there's nothing wrong with my heart. I will do everything in my power to love and protect you for the rest of my life. I will never betray you. Will you marry me? The desert wind whipped my hair across my face. It felt just like Leo was ruffling my hair again. I will. Leo, my happiness was delayed, but it's finally here. You can rest easy now. We came back to the States to meet his parents and get married. Mark put his arm around my shoulders, his voice steady and calm. Whether or not I'm good enough for her, is Sonny's decision. It's certainly not for a backstabbing snake who took over what wasn't his to judge. I walked over and carefully straightened the photo of my brother. Mark respectfully stepped forward and bowed his head. Then I turned back to the other two and held out my hand again. Give me the key. The CEO of a major corporation wouldn't try to squat in my apartment, would he? Besides, it's not right for you to be here. Forcing my brother's spirit to watch his best friend and his wife conspiring against his little sister. In the end, they reluctantly handed over the key. As they were leaving, Ethan whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't know who he was apologizing to. Was it for the brother who saved his life, only to have his wife stolen and be driven to his death? Or was it for me, the ex-fiancé who once loved him more than life itself?" I had heard news about Ethan over the years. The drones his company made had been a huge help to our unit, saving a lot of lives. Because of that, I had started to let go of my hatred. After we visited my brother's grave, Mark took me home to meet his parents. My parents died when I was young, and I always envied kids who had a mom and dad. But Leo would always tell me, "Sonny, you have me, and that's just as good. I'll be your mom and dad both." I had no idea how to act around parents, and I was terrified they would hate me for my prison record. Mark must have seen how nervous I was, because he took my clammy hand. "Don't worry, my parents are great." Mark came from a military family, so I was expecting them to be stern and formal. But when the door opened, I was greeted by two warm, smiling faces. They barely even glanced at their son, whom they hadn't seen in 5 years and who had come home injured. His mother pulled me into a hug, her warm hand stroking my hair. "You're just as lovely as I imagined. How did my silly boy get so lucky? You should have been my daughter instead." His father quietly handed me a credit card. "Buy yourself something nice." Then he tied on an apron and disappeared into the kitchen. Mark grumbled under his breath, "Am I even your real son? Dad, you gave Sonny your emergency cash. What are you going to do for beer money now?" I smiled, my eyes welling up with tears. It was a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time, and it enveloped me completely. After dinner, I sent Mark out of the room so I could tell his mother about my past. I couldn't let them welcome me into their family without knowing the truth. The money my brother had saved for me was long gone. I had nothing to offer them but my scarred and broken heart, so I laid it bare. "Mrs. Davis, I need you to know I've been to prison." I expected her to be like everyone else, to look at me with judgment, to despise and reject me. Instead, her eyes filled with tears, and she pulled me into her arms. "They were the ones in the wrong, not you. You and your brother are good, kind-hearted people, and being kind is never a mistake. Your brother is gone now, so we'll be your family. If anyone ever tries to hurt you again, they'll have to go through us first." Her hug was so warm, just like how I imagined a mother's hug would feel. Mark came back into the room and saw my tear-streaked face. "Mom, what did you say to Sonny?" I quickly wiped my eyes and hugged her back. "Nothing. Your mom is being wonderful to me." Mark looked away for a second, then came over and wrapped his arms around both of us. "I want to be good to you too, to both of you." I decided then to sell the old apartment. It held so many happy memories of my brother and me, but it was also the place where he suffered his final humiliation. I knew Leo wouldn't want me to keep it. The day after I listed it, the real estate agent called me. "Miss Johnson, is there some kind of ownership dispute with this property?" I was confused by his question, and then I heard Ethan's voice on the line. "Is this Sonny? Why are you selling the apartment? If you need money, I can give it to you. I'll pay double the asking price. Please, sell it to me." I'd forgotten I told the agent under no circumstances was he to sell to anyone connected to Ethan Miller or Candy Jones. "Sonny, you can't be this cruel. Don't take this last piece of the past away from me." I couldn't understand why a man with his success was so obsessed with the past. The agent said he was showing up every day and scaring off potential buyers. I agreed to meet with him. He had been waiting for a while when I arrived. He was dressed in his usual expensive suit, but he couldn't hide the exhaustion in his eyes. "Sonny, you finally agreed to see me. This place is pretty good. The sweet rice soup tastes almost like the kind Leo used to make. I wasn't there to take a trip down memory lane, especially not with the man responsible for my brother's death. I am selling that apartment. If you interfere again, I'll call the police." Ethan ignored me, taking another spoonful of the soup and getting a wistful look on his face. For the past 2 years, I keep dreaming about Leo. He just stands there and stares at me. He never says a word. Remember that time I was swimming in the river on a dare and got a cramp? Everyone else just stood on the bank and watched, but Leo jumped in and saved me. We were so poor back then, but we were happy, weren't we? Do you think if Leo hadn't come for me that night, everything would still be okay? He covered his face and let out a low, bitter laugh. Do you think this is my punishment? Candy's baby. It was perfectly healthy, and then at 8 months, the heartbeat just stopped. We've tried everything for years, but we've never been able to have another child. The doctors told me the problem is with me. Do you think it's Leo? Is he punishing me for not taking care of you? People always look for supernatural explanations when things go wrong. If my brother's spirit was really watching over us, those two would have met a much worse fate. After so many years and so many brushes with death, my own love and hate had faded. But I still felt my brother had been wronged. Still, if I could turn back time, I know Leo would have done the same things all over again. He would have saved Ethan, and he would have taken Candy in. That's just how kind he was. Kindness isn't a sin, but betrayal is. Ethan rambled on, and in the end, he begged me again not to sell the apartment, saying he would pay any price. Ethan, money can't fix everything. It can't bring my brother back. Admit it. You don't want the apartment out of remorse. You want it to ease your own selfish guilt, so you can feel better about enjoying everything you took from him. What makes you think he could ever forgive you after you stole his company, his wife, and tormented his sister? Even now, you're still trying to take advantage of our good nature. Ethan, you're pathetic. I don't know what I said that set him off, but Ethan went home and demanded a divorce from Candy. She started calling me from burner phones. Sonny, why aren't you dead? Why did you have to come back? Sonny, if you try to steal Ethan from me, I'll have you sent back to prison, and this time you'll stay there. I blocked her number without a second thought. On our wedding day, the church was filled with Mark's family and our friend from the service. As we were exchanging rings, the slideshow of photos from our time overseas was supposed to be playing. Instead, the screen changed to a video of me, kneeling on that stage, confessing that my brother and I were homewreckers. Candy burst through the doors, a triumphant smirk on her face as she looked at me in my wedding dress. She raised a megaphone to her lips and addressed the guests. You see that? Sonny Johnson is a serial homewrecker. She knowingly destroyed my relationship with Ethan, and now she's doing it again, cheating on her new fiancé with her old flame. Have you no shame? Picking up other people's trash. I was mortified. The humiliating memories came flooding back, and all I wanted to do was run. Mark gently squeezed my hand and stepped in front of me. Slander is a crime. Candy, you're not welcome here. A flicker of surprise crossed Candy's face before she raised her eyebrows mockingly. So, you like being cheated on, Mr. Davis? It's not slander when she admitted it herself. It's right there on the video. And I have photos of her secret meetings with my husband. I hadn't told Mark about meeting with Ethan. I hung my head, unable to look at his parents, terrified of the disappointment I would see on their faces. I expected to be scorned and condemned, just like 6 years ago. But instead, Mark's parents walked up onto the altar, and his mother wrapped her arms around me. Why on earth would we believe a backstabbing snake like you over our own daughter-in-law? Then, all around us, our friends began to stand up and come to my side. We know what kind of person Sonny is. We have eyes and ears. She's our sister in arms. We've been through hell and back with her. We believe her. My vision blurred with tears. I never thought I would be so lucky to be surrounded by so many good people. Their kindness was like armor, making me feel invincible. I wasn't afraid anymore. I pushed my way to the front and slapped Candy hard across her smug face. How dare you hit me? I slapped her again on the other cheek. That's right. I'm hitting you. When your family went bankrupt and you were on the run from creditors, my brother took you in and paid off your debts. What happened to my brother wasn't his fault, but I still told you that you were free to go. But you swore you'd never leave him, even while you were sleeping with my fiancée. You abused my brother, chained him up like an animal, and fed him scraps. Is that how a human being behaves? And you were so proud of yourself for using him to blackmail me into taking the fall for you. Candy, you reap what you sow. It's only a matter of time. Candy was about to lunge at me when the main doors opened, and Ethan walked in, silhouetted against the light. Honey, they're all ganging up on me. Look, she hit me. My face is all swollen. I'm going to sue them. But instead of comforting her, Ethan slapped her across the face. Who told you to come here and do this to Sunny? I'm divorcing you because of what I want. It has nothing to do with her. The pathetic look on Candy's face twisted into a mask of rage. No, what? I gave you my shares in the company. I've been with you all these years. You can't divorce me. Then, as if remembering something, she grabbed his sleeve. Ethan, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was just so jealous and scared of losing you. I did it because I love you. Besides, I'm pregnant. 2 months. I don't want our baby to be born without a father. Candy played what she thought was her trump card, trying to win him back. Looking at Ethan's thunderous expression, I almost laughed out loud. What goes around comes around. If Candy could cheat on my brother with Ethan, she could certainly cheat on Ethan with someone else. As Candy looked at him with hopeful eyes, Ethan kicked her to the ground in disgust. Whose bastard are you trying to pin on me? Ethan pulled up a medical report on his phone and shoved it in her face. It was a diagnosis of his infertility. The color drained from Candy's face as she stared at him in disbelief. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Ethan turned and looked at me in my wedding dress. Sunny, you look so beautiful. Sunny, if I told you I know I was wrong, that I'm willing to go to Leo's grave and beg for his forgiveness, would you give me another chance? Before I could answer, Candy, still on the floor, started screaming. Ethan, you can't leave me. You want Sunny to forgive you? In your dreams. Don't forget how Leo ended up that way in the first place. It was all your plan. My eyes shot wide open, and I stared at Ethan, demanding an answer. Kenny just laughed. Ethan, you coward. You're still too scared to admit it? Fine, I'll tell her. We were sleeping together long before Leo's accident. You were the one who said you couldn't live without me. You were the one who started that fight in the bar on purpose. You told me yourself that you saw the guy with the bottle. You had time to stop him, but you just stood there, you coward, and you watched him smash that bottle over Leo's head. Humiliated and enraged, Ethan lunged at Candy and wrapped his hand around her throat. Shut up, you bitch. You have no right to say his name. You're the one who sent someone to show him that video of Sunny, to lure him out of the facility. I have proof. Even with his injury, Leo was smart. He didn't just jump in the river looking for his sister like you wanted. It was you. You had someone push him in. Listening to them, a chill washed over me so intense I could barely stand. All these years, I thought my brother's death was an accident. I never imagined the truth could be so vile. Sunny, I wasn't thinking straight. I only hesitated for a second. I haven't had a single good night's sleep in years. I keep dreaming of Leo, asking me why I didn't save him, why I did what I did to you. Ethan fell to his knees in front of me. Sunny, I'm so sorry. I am guilty. I flew at him, hitting him with all my strength. My sweet, kind brother went to his grave never knowing that he was murdered by his best friend and the woman he loved. Ethan Miller, Candy Jones, you'll both rot in hell for this. Our story was all over the news. After 7 years, my brother and I were finally cleared of the lies that had been spread about us. I filed a lawsuit to reclaim my brother's shares in the company. Ethan confessed to everything. His only condition was that he wanted to see me one last time. I refused. Even death isn't enough to pay for what you took from my brother. Candy tried to use her pregnancy to get a lighter sentence, but in a twist of fate, she miscarried. 3 years later, I brought my 2-year-old daughter to visit my brother's grave. He was still so young and handsome in the photograph. Mommy, that man is so handsome. He's not just any man, sweetie. That's your Uncle Leo, Mommy's big brother. A butterfly fluttered down and landed in my daughter's hair, gently beating its wings. It reminded me of the way Leo used to ruffle my hair. See, your uncle likes you. Really? I like him too. My daughter leaned in and gently kissed the handsome face in the picture. We're doing okay now, Leo. You can rest in peace.